right? Because it is a scary thing to jump into business, right? Especially for the first time for a
Yeah,
lot of guys.
absolutely.
I mean, you're talking about, your finances, your probably your savings, all that stuff. But while you're doing all that, kind of twiddling your thumbs, taking a little bit too much time, there's another guy who's out there hungry and hustling.
I've fallen into that trap as well, where I'm like, well, I'd really like to have this flyer to hand out before we do such and such. It's like, well, we haven't gotten that yet. All right, well, then let's wait. It's like, man, why did we wait?
You go on to Facebook and you ask a DOT question, you're gonna get 20 different answers because there's people in 20 different states responding, and each state is
Right.
different, right?
When did you have your aha moment? That one time we're like, oh, now I got it. This is what I need to do. So, it's just little things like that. I feel like.
What is going on, everybody? This is Josh over here at American AF Dumpster Rentals in Dallas. Uh, I've got Matt Ferguson with Prime Sanitation out of Fort Smith. Matt, say what's up to everybody.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Happy
Uh,
to be here, man. Thanks for the opportunity.
Man, I really appreciate you taking me on the offer. You kind of reached out to me. I did post on Facebook about a new series where I was going to be I just wanted to interview other dumpster guys and other business guys. Really, I mean, I would love that opportunity to just kind of talk to everybody. I do it all the time, anyways, all day, every day for the most part. I talk to people in business one way or the other, and just the conversations we have are so I don't know, when you put two business people, kind of like-minded individuals in the same room and they just talk business, so much can be learned from that, from each other, regardless of what stage you're at in business, right? Or I'm at, or anybody else is at, right? So it's just always good to have these kinds of conversations. So again, I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Like I said, I've been watching your stuff for a while now, probably about a year, and just having these interactions with other people in the industry, I've learned so much just from that. So yeah, again, just happy to be
Definitely.
here, man. Thanks.
Well, why don't you, first of all, why don't you just tell me who you are? Tell me a little bit about yourself, your background before starting Prime Sanitation, what you're doing, and what sparked you or the idea to get into trash.
Yeah, well, I love dirty things. No,
There you go.
really. So what I started off with was basically military service. Went in the Marine Corps way back in the day. I've been doing military and government service for the past 25 years. That made me spend quite a bit of time away from family, friends, the United States. So basically, at some point in time, I said, I really need to try and bring myself back home. And how can I do that? Been researching things online for so many years, trying to see what our area needed and how I thought we could try and get in there and fix some of those solutions. Partnered up with a buddy of mine named James. He was kind of in the same type of a situation where he was in a job he had been with for about 25 years as well. And we were both looking to really change and start working for ourselves. And that's kind of where we just kind of came across getting into trash can clean.
Mm.
Initially, we looked at that service and thought, man, this area has nothing, or our area has nothing like this. And we really thought, we started talking to people, talking to other like family, friends, like, man, that's gonna that's gonna explode. So we're like, okay, great, let's try that. Initially kicked off with that, bought our first truck that can clean two trash cans at one time, big pressure washing type setup, and we started that route, and we kind of grew from there. Meaning, the truck itself, like I said, is a big pressure washing system. It's got an 8 gallon a minute machine, can hold 500 and something gallons of water. And so we started trying to, when we were looking for other work, started doing pressure washing. What that ended up turning into is, we started cleaning some dumpster pads and offering service like that. And we thought, well, if we could actually provide some of these dumpsters, maybe that would actually help offset some of our costs as well. And then we started again doing research on that. And I came from an industry, excuse me, where I actually had to have a CDL. I had to be a trucker over the road, so I have a lot of miles underneath my belt on an 18-wheeler working for the U.S. government. And so I thought, hey, that's right up my alley, and let's start doing that. It's a little bit less backbreaking, I would say, and it gives us a little bit more of interaction with customers, and we really like that. So that's kind of where we ended up.
Interesting. So let me just ask a couple questions about partnership. I mean,
Mhm.
why a partner? Do you feel that? I mean, do you feel that either one of you kind of needed a partner to get into it, or was it more like a support thing, or I mean, or just you guys just wanted to get in business together because you're both friends, or was one kind of like an investor and the other one was kind of operations? How does that look as far as partnership, and how do you feel about the partnership? Like, would you suggest that other people try that?
Well, I mean, definitely. Man, I guess I can't talk on these interviews very well here, but basically, what it worked out for us is the fact that I'm still traveling a little bit. I still have to provide, income for my family as well as so is my partner. However, what that does is it kind of frees up a little bit of capital, where possibly at some point I might have to put in a little bit more while he's doing a lot of the day to day. But I think at the end of all this, we really work well together. And I feel like he has a lot of knowledge in the building industry. He knows a lot about equipment and things that I don't know. And I think we both complement each other very well. Where so in doing it by myself, it would be a lot harder. That is for sure. So
Definitely.
this is not for everybody. Having a partner is not for everybody. If you want to be the one making all the decisions and trying to do it all yourself, good on you. But I feel like I work better in an environment with other like-minded individuals that can come together and basically see a problem, fix the problem, and continue to grow. And I think that's really where we benefit from each other.
Nice, nice. Yeah, a lot of people. I mean, there's people that like are like, oh no, definitely don't ever do partnerships.
Right?
I've worked with family. I've never really had a partner as far as somebody that wasn't family. But I think I did the double whammy. I did partners and family, and honestly, it actually worked out really well for us. While during that business or during that period of my life. So I've never really been against partnerships, but it takes a ton of patience, it takes a ton of understanding and a ton of communication, right? Because without that,
Yeah.
stuff starts building up, and you start feeling a certain way about somebody, and then one day it just kind of blows up, and it could really screw up a business. So, anyways,
Yeah.
uh,
No, absolutely. I feel like we've definitely grown together, if you will, as far as that whole communication piece. And that is probably the most important thing. Because if we're not talking to each other, nobody knows what the actual end goal is going to be, right?
mhm,
So even on a specific job, like, oh, hey, it starts tomorrow at 07. Well, if I didn't know that, and just that communication breakdown, we could lose that customer forever.
sure,
So just being able to talk with each other, get through the day, and then kind of come back together, um, but also have that trust and confidence in him that if I did miss something or whatever, that he would be there to pick up the slack. So that's a huge weight off my shoulders too.
so you
Couldn't do it
started.
without him,
Oops,
honestly.
sorry, go ahead. What was that last part?
No, I just said I couldn't do this without him. So
Definitely, I understood. So you started right out the gate with this truck. Is that correct?
yeah, yep, exactly.
Okay, man, that's a nice looking truck. Was that brand new? Was that a pretty big
Yeah, it's
investment?
brand new.
Okay.
Came right out of Houston. So basically, there's a company down there in Houston. I believe it's the Bin Cleaners, and basically they build that truck, or it's purpose-built truck specifically for this type of work. And so we went to them initially, and we kind of built some things in there for spec. Like I said, it's just a big pressure washing truck, but then it has the special capability of being able to lift two trash cans at the same time,
Mm,
and it has nozzles in the back that spray, a couple different angles. It's a basically 200-degree water, so it cleans and sanitizes and disinfects anything that's inside the trash can. And then we actually take whatever debris and water that was in the trash can, and we take that away and dispose of it properly. So, you kind
interesting.
of get people who are like, oh, well, I can clean my trash can myself. It's like, oh, yeah, absolutely. But now all that junk is in your driveway or in you know, your grass or something like that. But we actually take it all the way. So, very. interesting build on the truck, and we're very happy with it. That's for sure.
So how many gallons does it hold? Do you know, like as far as clean water and dirty water?
Yeah, it holds 525 gallons of clean water,
Wow,
and then that basically lasts us at least all day. And then we can hold an additional about 300 gallons of water from like the wastewater that comes off of after we clean the can itself.
sure. So tell me a little bit. Do you mind talking a little bit about this? I mean, you got a monthly pricing. Is that per can? Is that per household?
Yeah, basically. So since we can clean 2 cans at once, we give the one price for a monthly service on a reoccurring basis for the year, subscription basically. It's $25 a month to clean 2 cans, and we do that once a month.
Once a
You
month.
can
Okay.
also do a service where it is quarterly. Again, clean 2 cans once every quarter. It's $55, and then we have a one-time service fee, which is $75. We come out and clean 2 cans one time for $75.
Interesting. And what's your radius?
Um, well, right now we're still trying to grow it. So in some areas we're probably going a little bit further than we would like to. But really, it's just trying to get our name out there, which is a little bit tough because, of course, most people don't even know that this service exists, and it's
Right.
very hard to market. So, just through being able to drive around the towns, but realistically, we're about 20 miles tops. That we don't want to go any further than 20 miles for that service.
Okay.
And I mean, let me rephrase that. If I had an entire homeowners association that wanted all their houses done once a month or one time, whatever, we would definitely make arrangements for that. But typically, for our monthly reoccurring, it would be 15 miles, 20 miles, something like that.
All right. So you have kind of a route service. Is that right? So you kind of have a route service, or your subscription based customers, and then you do the
Right.
one offs like this residential power washing, the dumpster pad cleaning, all that stuff. Is that done with the same truck, or do you have different trucks?
Nope, it's done with the exact same truck.
Okay. All right. Who runs the day to
We
day
we
operations? You or your partner?
my business partner
Okay.
primarily.
Okay. Do you so you hop in the truck every now and then as well?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if I'm there, we're both working.
Gotcha.
My job just kind of takes me away just a little bit, so I do have to travel sometimes. And when I do that, he basically takes over everything, and we continue on.
Nice. So how many days a week would you say you are doing the trash can cleaning, and then is so if you're away, does he is he doing the trash can cleaning and doing the dumpster rentals as well?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He's got plenty of things to do. He's got a very full plate, that is for sure.
Nice, nice.
Um, However, us trying to just build that customer base has given us a little bit of freedom, right? I mean, let's just say we're not out there cleaning 100 cans a day or anything crazy like that. Once we get to that point, we'll definitely be hiring more people. But really, it's a couple days a week as far as trash can routes, and then we'll have pressure washing jobs in between there, and then the dumpster rentals kind of come into play there as well. And so that's kind of how we're able to juggle these couple of things at the moment.
Well, let's talk about dumpster rentals. So it's right here on your
Yeah,
website. Looks like you have an international hook lift. Is that right?
yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Um,
Yep.
what type of setup do you have? What company is the hook? Do you know?
Galbraith.
Okay. Um, did you buy this one brand new as well, or is this a used truck, or how?
Now this is a 2010
Okay.
Freightliner M2. It's a D-rated truck,
33 to
so
26.
we're under CDL.
Okay.
Um, it's been working fantastic for us. We got into it for a reasonable price, and that came with was it 5 cans? We actually have 7 cans total now, and we have more basically on order, just kind of sitting there waiting. We're just trying to keep building this thing up the best we can, right?
Sure.
So yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now with that. Like I said, it's a 2010. I don't know if I mentioned that, so it does have a little bit of age to it. We're just excited though; it does very well for us, and yeah,
But it's
I'm wearing
also
my
pre-def.
Peterbilt hat right now because one day, man, I'm gonna get a friggin' another Peterbilt truck, and then we'll be running hooks off of that. That'd be great. So
Nice, 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 nice.
we'll see.
Where'd you buy that truck out of? I mean, did you have to travel to go get it, or?
Actually, there's a guy right here in Northwest Arkansas who sells hooklift trucks. He's actually a swap loader dealer.
Okay.
This truck just happened to be used, kind of came in to him, I believe, through consignment, if I'm not mistaken. And basically, he did the deal kind of for us, got us some financing, and we were able to figure that out. The process kind of took a lot longer than any of us expected. That was one of the things that we kind of learned there with any sort of big piece of equipment or something that's kind of not normal. Man, it took us, I want to say, at least 2 months to really get everything dialed in. I mean, they wanted so much information and insurance and just all the I's dotted and T's crossed, and it just really took a long time. So in the end, happy that we finally were able to get that deal done and build off of that. So
Nice, nice. So, how long have you been doing the trash cans cleaning, and then how long have you been doing the dumpster rentals?
sure. We started the trash can cleaning a little over a year ago, or right around like July of last year. We pretty much kicked it off, and so we've been doing that for that long. And then, as far as dumpster rentals specifically, maybe 6 months or so. Kind of, I'd say marketing about 6 months. We kind of had a dump trailer a little bit, and we were picking up a little bit of junk removal slash, hauling a little bit of rock, maybe a little bit of debris. But that really didn't really go anywhere. And I felt like in our market, I mean, there's everybody that does that. You got a guy on the street who's like, hey, I got a pickup truck. Like, yeah, I can pick up that couch. Just give me $50 and I'll take care
Hmm.
of it. It's like, well, it's not really the area that we wanted to try and market. So we wanted to actually step up a little bit and get into the big cans, big truck, and then try and grow that instead of the junk removal side of things.
Sure. Do you
So
see
again,
the
basically about 6 months, seven
Okay?
months total.
Do you see
Yeah.
the business going? I mean, where do you see the business going? Do you see it going more towards the dumpster rentals, or do you see it going more towards the trash can cleaning, or just kind of both, kind of full force, hitting it out the door?
Well, I really feel like we can kind of market to both. The people looking to clean out their garages, do things like that. If I can show up, clean their trash cans, and be like, "Oh, hey, I noticed your garage is completely full with everything. And if you ever needed a dumpster, we offer that as well." So I think the services kind of, benefit each other or kind of
Hmm.
play off each other a little bit. And I think we can really hopefully dominate that market and get out there and get more trash can cleaning customers just from that, and then vice versa, get those one-offs and then show up. We actually had somebody reach out to us not too long ago from like a factory. It's like, hey man, I got however many trash cans, like normal trash cans, like 50 of them. He's like, would you guys be able to come out on a weekend and possibly clean all those? And it's like, yeah, absolutely. Well, then what if that led into something else for us as far as dumpsters are concerned? Just kind of opening some doors, maybe, that if we just went in there with like, hey, we offer dumpsters, um, maybe that wouldn't get us very far. So that way they kind of trust us. They see that we're out in the neighborhood. We're actually providing service to the community. And then, hey, maybe let's use these guys rather than trying to use some national brand type of company. Let's stay local, that type of thing. That's where I'd really like to try and market for sure.
Sure, man. Yeah, I mean, businesses that kind of, what do you call it? I don't know what it's called. Synergy. Businesses that kind of intertwine with each other. Obviously, like dumpster rentals, especially around here, you got a lot of dumpster guys have like porta potty businesses, right? Because
Yeah.
in most cities, they require for you to pull a construction permit. They require two things right up front: a dumpster and a porta potty. And if you can be those first two phone calls, or you know, be that first one phone call for that contractor, and they can get two birds with one stone. Well, then why not? Um, a couple other businesses. A lot like I actually know a business down in Houston, a pretty big company who does the dumpster rentals, porta potties. They do temporary construction fences, and they do, what was the fourth thing? Oh, there's one here that does those three things and street sweeping. So they do the street sweeping for
Oh,
like the homeowners associations, or the homeowner, the the companies that come in and build an entire subdivision all at one time. big company, they have dumpsters at every other house, right? One dumpster for two houses. They clean the streets, and then they offer porta potties one every five houses, I think it is, or something like that.
Right.
Um, it's good money. It's definitely good money, but it's also kind of like if you're not ready for it, I would imagine it would, like, wear you thin. You're wearing so many different hats, and if one thing takes off and does very well, but the other one it's a little bit slower. I could just imagine how you're just kind of running around sometimes. So it's good to have a partner that can actually take ownership sometimes too, and like be able to jump in, I guess, if things do take off like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, shoot, we've actually had situations where we're out pressure washing the house, and we get a phone call for a dumpster. It's like, hey man, I need a dumpster, today. It's like, all right, Roger that. Like, hey man, I'll stay here. I'll finish this. You go run the can out to them, and then, if I'm done, we're done. Or hey, come back.
Hmm.
So we can kind of make things work that way, and it actually works out really well, man. It's it's definitely tough, but I really like that challenge. And coming, like I said, kind of coming from that military side of things, getting that challenge, what's going to actually try and keep me home. I've tried to come home a couple times before. I say come home meaning like try and get a job back in the U.S. And I always get drawn back to going back overseas or doing different things that way. And I think really it turns into the reason why I go back is just being able to work with the, those caliber of people where, hey, we're very focused on the job, where we understand what tasks need to be taken care of, and we go do that. And when I come home and I try and get a job at home, I don't necessarily find that. So I always kind of got drawn back to doing government work. So being able to come home now and have these challenges, and I'm like, man, this is awesome. I really feel like I thrive in that type of environment. Just thinking logistically, hey, how can James and I, my partner, basically tackle the next day's problems? And I really get a kick out of that. So that really helps me as well. And I think us working together will really help our company and really kind of drive us forward where other people can't.
Were you guys good friends beforehand? Like
Yeah,
before you went into
actually,
business?
yeah. So funny story on that too is our wives are like best friends, and so that's how we kind of met, and then we just kind of had a bond there, and just kind of grew it from there. So we've known each other for almost 10 years, I believe now. Kind of off and on, and then we decided to try and partner together. We looked at a couple different options many years ago. Just like, maybe we should try this. Maybe we should get into real estate investing. All those types of things. And it's like, well, how about this? Let's start off a little bit smaller and then try and grow something off of that. And I feel like that's where we've really caught our stride, man. I really think we're doing pretty well with that.
Do you model your trash can cleaning business or your pressure washing business off of like any other big companies? Like where did you learn that people needed their trash cans cleaned? I mean, how is that? I know you touched on it a little bit before, but I still can't wrap my head around, like, sometimes it's just so understanding how it's so not understanding. It's so funny how, like, doors and opportunities kind of just come to us, and it's like there's some of us that just take those opportunities and just go with it, and then there's others
Yeah.
that just kind of think about it for 10, 15, 20 years and probably never act on it, right? So
Yeah.
tell me again, like, where did that come from, and do you model it? Are there any big companies that you see that, like, okay, that's a big company, and if they can do it, if they're doing it this way, let's try it that way or something.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Great question. Basically, what happened was I worked for a foundation repair company in Corpus Christi, Texas. Like one of my best friends gave me a phenomenal opportunity to come down there and work with his family doing foundation repair. And again, given a great opportunity to be down there, loved working with that family. But like I said, I kind of got drawn back. In so many words there, I got drawn back. But they started a trash can cleaning company. And so, in talking with them and just seeing how things were working and what their area was needing, I thought that we might need the same thing in my area. A lot of these things, they started very small,
Hmm.
some of these companies. In our research, though, we basically found out that a lot of these companies do start very small and then they'll get big residential type contractor, homeowners associations, or even going to work for, like in our area, I'm not sure if you know cards, but they do residential trash can pickup, or even with the city. We haven't had much luck with that so far. Some of those guys are like, yeah, well, we'd love to have you guys come out and do something. However, we have hourly employees and we'll just make them wash the trash cans rather than having a service provider come out and do that. So that's where it's kind of slowed for us. But in saying all that, really it turned into seeing this opportunity, seeing that we actually had the capital to get into it, and not being that guy to sit around and wait and say, man, I should have done that.
Mm.
We did just kind of jump in and tried to get after it as fast as we could. There's minimal, I say competition loosely, meaning there's plenty of work in our area for everybody, but there's only, one or two other guys in the area that are kind of doing what we do. Um, so just being able to provide good service, man, I really think is where we're picking up that the work on a daily basis. So yeah, again, we just wanted to try and get into something, and we thought that was a good fit. And we heard, from all of our friends and family that they would want that service, and a lot of people love the service, and it's just really getting that word out now for us. So
Man, what you said earlier, it just keeps sticking out in my head. Like the homeowners associations. Like if you could, forget about, yeah, the this month the subscription customers would be great, but those are all like excuse me. Those are all kind of one-offs, right? You have to like literally go out there and get every single customer. But if you can contract with a homeowners association, right? Homeowners association, they're charging buku dollars anyways in HOA fees, right?
right.
So if you could contract with, multiple, I mean, all you need is like, I don't know your numbers, but let's say 5 or 10 homeowners associations can get you hundreds of, I could keep those trucks full time. So I'm sure that's the route you're going, but I would just imagine like, man, I would probably call every single homeowner association. Do you want to set yourself apart from everybody else? I'm sure they got, their own expenses and stuff like that, and they're going to have to budget it or whatever. But I can't. I can only imagine that that's a huge benefit to the homeowners in that association, and that would be like that's your in my eyes, my opinion, because I know nothing. But as far as that's concerned, but that would be like the bread and butter, right? And then everything else, the one offs are just if they come in, great. But the big contracts would be where
Yeah, I mean,
the business would
absolutely.
take off.
Yeah, and I really think it's just most people don't know what they don't know, right? They don't really know that we exist. And it's getting those couple customers in there, and then next thing you know, that kind of builds onto that where it's like, oh, hey, wait a minute, that truck comes in here, once a month, twice a month, something like that. Maybe we ought to really look at that and see what we can provide for our community, if you will, like that little homeowners association. I mean, hey, they're out there finding people for having, the wrong stain on their fence or whatever. I mean, they want their area to be clean. It's really just kind of being able to sell that um, service to the community. Like, what's the benefit and how can we do that? And I feel like right now, that's really what we're trying to work for. We don't have that yet. But yeah, that's definitely something and what we're trying to look for. Think about that. If we just did the trash cans for a homeowners association, well, what's coming up? We got Christmas. How about if we then provide a dumpster for that community over
Mm.
Christmas? Like, hey, everybody throw all your Christmas trees in there, or just all that trash, or hey, maybe let's set up some bins for recycling all the cardboard. Like, let's get rid of this waste properly. Like, let's do that. I mean, we're
Mm.
all about that. We actually ran into somebody the other day um, who was talking about electronics and how there's these companies now that are looking to possibly, I say, purchase or pay for some of these electronics. I'm sure it's pennies, but I mean, hey, it definitely adds up at the end of the year. But there's those recycling companies now, and if we maybe even pitch that, like, hey, now I'm at this factory, I'm cleaning the trash cans for that, and they got 15 printers over there that they've had sitting for 10 years or whatever, because they just improve their systems. Like, man, we could really kind of get into that area and become the logistical partner with the electronic company. We could do the dumpsters, and we could clean and sanitize, work areas and workspaces. So I feel like that's a really good niche for us, and really that's where we're trying to grow and move into. But the hardest thing for us right now is being able to market properly. I mean, we're struggling with that. One of the things that I always talk about with people is like when we first got into business. Yes, I understood that, myself or my partner, we would kind of have to wear a lot of different hats. We get that. Like we're on the truck, we're running the tools, we're the ones breaking our back at the moment. However, I didn't realize I was going to have to be a content creator now. I didn't realize how much time and effort was put into that. And that was one of my big lessons learned. Like, oh God, yeah, I can post a photo or something like that. But trying to figure that out, figure out the market, see where businesses are actually looking for services. And so, yes, getting into homeowners associations is going to be our bread and butter, hopefully, but it's just being able to break in there.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the junk removal guys or other dumpster guys will probably be thinking like, yeah, well, when I go to a apartment complex and I know that, if they evict somebody, or, every time if you drive by, you see like a couch next to the dumpsters out there. I'm like, well, shoot, I got to call somebody to get this couch taken out of there. You trying to just walk in that door and pitch that service does not come off very well,
Mm-hmm.
typically. Right. So just being able to find the right decision maker is a little bit difficult, and especially I say in this day and age. But most of those companies are run somewhere completely different. Like that apartment complex is, really owned and operated by a company that is now in, Dallas, Texas, and they have 35 properties all across the United States. So the decisions are being made from Dallas, not from your location. So
Right.
that's, again, some of those types of situations have caused us a little bit of problem. Sometimes the homeowners associations, though, they're very interested, but then it's like, hey, they're going to put it to a vote.
Mm.
And when was the last time people went to some of their homeowner association meetings? That. So just getting the word out, man. I think that's our toughest thing to do right now, especially for that service. So,
Funny because my
but
next
yeah,
question was, what are your biggest challenges, right? I guess,
oh yeah,
getting the word out and marketing and educating the customer is educating the customer on your service because it's a brand new service. It's like introducing an entire new service to an industry to to a market that has no idea. So, how
yeah.
is your market? I mean, are you doing a lot of videos? Do you do a lot of like? Do you do you take a lot of videos like when you're out there, cleaning the cans and stuff like that, and try to promote it that way? Put it on your Google My Business profile, all that stuff, or how are you marketing?
Yeah, really, that's exactly it. And we've come a long way from that. Initially it was like, oh, hey, yeah, just post a picture. It's going to be gold, right? Yeah, no, nobody
Yeah.
cares. Nobody looks at any of that stuff, right? You got to really put time and effort into some of those things. Um, so, yeah, really, social media has been one of our struggles, but I really feel like we're definitely improving on that. I mean, who is that guy? I forget his name, but basically says content is king. um,
A lot of people do. Gary
what's his
V.
last name? V. Yeah, Gary
Vaynerchuk.
V.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Gary
exactly.
Vaynerchuk. Yep.
Right. So he's always talking about content. I'm like, man, we really do have to step up our game because, like I said before, man, even watching some of your videos, even if it was like, hey, this thing just broke and this is what I have to do, and you're like, I don't know how to fix it. I gotta have somebody else fix it. It's like, yeah, I mean, we're kind of in the same boat, and it's good to see when that stuff happens. Or hey, why did it happen? Hey, I better take a look at that on my truck, right? So just learning those little lessons, just the little nuggets that each guy kind of puts out, really benefits all of us, man. And
Mm.
at the end of the day, that's what we want is this community of like-minded people to try and see those problems and plan for those as a group. And so, yeah.
When I
But
Google you
back to your
guys.
question, though, as far as actually what we're doing for marketing, yeah,
Uh-huh.
I mean, Google has been very tough for us because again, I'm the one trying to, log in there and figure that out. And it's just like, wait a minute, now this algorithm changed. We're actually trying to go in and update our website get that actually dialed in a lot better than it is. I feel like it doesn't really flow as well as I would like. Some of the services, initially when we kicked off, we didn't have dumpster rental service. We didn't have, I mean, we had pressure washing, but it wasn't marketed the same way. But we really tried to scab on a couple things to that website, and it's not really operating the way that I want to see it operate. So we're getting that changed out. So,
Interesting.
and
Do you have a
then to
software?
that, basically, I'm sorry.
Do you have a software that you guys use that keeps everything in one place, or since you have different types of multiple services, how are you tracking like all your customers and what routes you need to do and all that stuff?
Yeah, we use a CRM, so we use Jobber to try
Okay,
and track, where things are coming from, and then all their information.
gotcha. Well,
Mhm.
I when I googled you, I see it looks like you guys are on Instagram pretty good. I think that's you guys. Yeah, yeah, you guys are on Instagram. Lots of videos on Instagram. Looks pretty good. I don't see a Google My Business.
Yeah,
Do you not? Do you guys not have a Google My Business page or
we totally do. And that's what
do
I'm
you?
getting at. Is like all of a sudden it's not performing the way it's supposed to, right? So I just told my partner James like 2 days ago. I was like, man, I just tried to search us again, and it's not showing up. We have our local address. We're on the maps page
Mm-hmm.
supposedly, and then now we're not. So we're gonna have
Oh
to
man.
readdress that really
Yeah, that's a
quick.
big one. That's a big one. That's free advertising, yeah. But you are I mean, you guys do have pretty good, you're ranked pretty well. It looks like you're doing pretty good. Anyways, looks great. Just it just there's never it's a never ending thing, right? You always got to keep on marketing. You always got to keep on advertising.
Hmm.
You always got to keep on more and more until the point where you have so many HOAs. Hopefully, you don't even have to. You just like don't worry about it. Let's just go the whole HOA route. Hopefully, but anyways,
Yeah.
everybody faces failure at some point. We were talking about like keeping it raw, keeping it real. Um, do you have any moments in this business that you feel that um, you hit a major setback and anything that you may have learned from it that you can hopefully pass on to the next guy who might be watching?
Yeah, I mean, of course, we got our day to day, issues, right? A flat tire, man. For our hook lift, I mean, that flat tire is $500.
Yeah.
So those types of setbacks really kind of hurt small businesses for sure. One of the things that I didn't realize when we kind of started was we started a lot of things at once, right? If we start. Let's just talk about dumpsters specifically. So we bought the truck. We had to get the insurance. We had to get the DOT numbers. We had to do all these things at one time and go through all those processes. Well, guess what? All that renews the same time every year.
Mm,
And we had stacked a couple things at that one point. Now that year comes back around and it's like, oh, shit. This month is going to be a little bit tough because, hey, that's, let's just say $5,000 that's got to come right off the top just to get the DOT numbers back. The insurance is back up to date. Any of our driver's responsibility type of paperwork, like all that hit at one time, and it was like, man, if I could go back and maybe try and spread load that a little bit. Now, of course, we can go in and we can plan accordingly throughout the year, like save a certain amount of money and do those types of things. However, even when you have that one massive expense that comes around every year, and it's tough. It really kind of hits the pocketbook. So
hmm.
especially being in a growing business, man, anytime we can keep that capital in our account. So if we can jump on something, we can do that. And then it's like, oh hey, oh by the way, tomorrow you owe us $5,000. It's like, oh,
Hmm.
so that's one of our big like lessons learned on that.
Yeah, it's a big hit for sure. Um, Do you mind sharing, like, how did you fund your business from the beginning? Like, a brand new truck, was it personal cash? Did you guys get a business loan? Did you guys have to get personal loans together? How did you guys kind of fund that from the start, your
Yeah,
startup?
we basically, yeah, we started from our own funds primarily,
Okay.
and then got the loan. We definitely got loans, of course, like for the vehicles themselves. But being able to come up with that capital initially, we funded it ourselves.
Is that a wrapped truck? I have to go back. Did you wrap it too?
Yes.
Did they
Hmm.
wrap it from the factory when you bought it, like brand new? Nice, nice.
Yeah,
So that's part of the
yeah,
package that they sold you then?
yep, exactly.
Sweet. I
And
like
that's
it. It
a
looks really
really
good.
awesome billboard for us. You know, just having that truck out running around, or every once in a while we'll go park it somewhere on the weekend, and
Mhm.
try and get some customers off of that. So yeah, it really benefits us.
Parking them at Home Depot helps a lot, like, especially the roll-off truck, you know?
Yeah, I know, man. Yeah, we definitely need to do more of that. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
When I well, I do house flipping a little bit on the side too, right? So, when I flipped this last house, it was a big, big house, big project, and I had a flatbed for my roll-off truck, and so the guys would always be like, "Hey, we need, do you mind going to pick up the equipment first thing?" So first thing in the morning before I even do my runs, I would go and do Home Depot runs, and you'd be surprised
Mhm.
literally how many other contractors call, just by seeing my truck out there I mean, some of them called because I was taking up 10 different spots in the pro section, right?
Yeah,
But,
yeah,
whatever, those guys
exactly.
would just kiss your ass. But it was mainly the guys that wanted to call and get some prices on dumpsters. It was really eye-opening that sometimes that's all it takes. Especially when you get there at 6 o'clock in the morning. Those guys, the hustlers, the ones that are really working, are the ones usually
Yeah.
there at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, right when they first open the doors, or 6 o'clock. And those are the ones that usually called. So I was always surprised how many people actually called off that. So just a little bit of tidbit
Hmm.
advice for anybody who's watching.
Man, I
Um,
love it.
yeah. So what's one piece of advice that you wish somebody had given you before you started your dumpster business or the trash cleaning business?
Great question.
Not to put you on the spot or anything, but
And I probably hear about this more, now that I've been researching and doing things, but don't don't rush into it, man.
mm,
Definitely plan what you want to do, and then that process takes time, right? Like I got a buddy that I work with. He always says, "Well, how long does it take to get a 4 year degree?"
mm,
It takes 4 years, right? You can't just say, "I want a 4 year degree in two." That typically doesn't work out. So do your research, really plan what you think you want to do, and then execute that plan rather than like, yeah, let's just jump in, let's do this. I feel like we kind of jumped in on the trash can cleaning truck, and then we really planned the dumpster truck, our hook lift truck, and that really benefited us. We didn't jump in, you know, too crazy as far as expenses were on that hook lift, and that really is helping offset the costs for both sides of the jobs at the moment. So yeah, just do your research, and that everything takes time. Let it take that time, but don't use that as an excuse to not do anything.
mm.
Right? Make that decision, make that commitment, and then drive everything towards that and build from there. If that makes sense.
No, it does. I mean, research. That's one of the things I try to tell people all the time too. Is just you've got to do your research and don't go off some random Yahoo on YouTube, right? Like, do your own research because everybody is different. Everybody's market is completely different. Just all kinds of
Yeah,
stuff, man. You've got to do your own research. But I also say, Matt, that it's like there's some guys I'll talk to or do a little consultation with or whatever, do call on the phone or whatever, and they're like, hey, well, I haven't got my business cards yet, or I'm really working on my logo, and then I'll start. It's like, dude, like at the end of the day, like while logo's important, your brand is important, your colors are important. While you're sitting around playing with trying to figure out your business card, and you're kind of procrastinating, you might be scared, right? Because it is a scary thing to jump into business, right? Especially for the first time for a
yeah,
lot of guys.
absolutely.
I mean, you're talking
Hmm.
about, your finances, your probably your savings, all that stuff. But while you're doing all that, kind of twiddling your thumbs, taking a little bit too much time, there's another guy who's out there hungry and hustling and starting up the business. So um, I'm not disagreeing at all. I'm just
Don't.
saying
Yeah,
absolutely do your research. But then again, like just once you get to that point and it's time to pull the trigger, if you think it's successful, you've done your research, trust your research, trust what you've looked into, and pull that damn trigger because there's nothing better than being. I don't know. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 18 years old. There's nothing better than being a business owner if you're the business owner type. If you're not, then
yeah.
there's other people that just don't. There's nothing wrong with that. There's people that can be entrepreneurs, and there's just people that should probably just work a 9 to 5 and get that guaranteed paycheck and then go home to their families or whatever they do. Because not everybody is meant to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody is meant to be a an employee, I guess I can say. So that was
Yeah,
my
I completely agree with that statement, man. And I've fallen into that trap as well. Where I'm like, well, I'd really like to have this flyer to hand out before we do such and such. It's like, well, we haven't gotten that yet. All right, well then let's wait. And it's like, man, why did we wait? You
mm,
know, so yeah, I completely agree with that. And however, do that research, man, because we fell into that. Well, we didn't know we needed such and such. Or
hmm
if I call, like, for instance, the DOT number, right? Like, okay, we get it. We need the DOT. Fine. Well, then we go to this company and we're like, hey, so do you offer everything? Like, I want to just call you and have you deal with anything that has to do with our DOT numbers, driver certificates, you know, any of that stuff. Like, yeah, absolutely. Okay, great. We get an email like a week later. It's like, hey, you need to do this, this, and this. It's like, hey guys, we just got this email. How are we going to address this? Like, oh well, we don't do that.
mm,
Great, here we go again. Now I got to go find somebody else or do it myself. And to be honest with you, my partner James, we had an issue like that, very specific type of thing where we got audited. It's a normal DOT thing. You have to be audited within 6 or 9 months, I believe,
mm,
and just for them to go through and check all your paperwork. Well, that wasn't even on our radar per se. And they hit us up and we went to that company and like, well, we don't really do that. And then we went to another one. Oh, that's $2,000. And it's like, all right, James knocked it out of the park and did it himself. You know, so finding that information out initially is very beneficial rather than getting that setback. You know, and so that's kind of what I mean as far as doing research.
yeah, and
So
specifically, your state is a state that apparently, even though your truck is D-rated and under 26,000, you still need a DOT, right? Is that what you're saying? So here
yep.
in Texas, of course, it's not right. So anything under 26,000, we don't need a DOT. But then also pay attention where you're getting your research from, because if you go on to Facebook and you ask a DOT question, you're gonna get 20 different answers because there's people in 20 different states responding, and each state is
Right.
different, right? So do your research, but make sure you're getting the right information for sure. So
Yeah.
even though you have a DOT, you don't need a CDL for your truck. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay,
I
cool.
have my CDL, but my partner does not. So we're going to keep it under CDL for a while and then see
Gotcha.
what happens.
All right, man. So just a couple more questions, man. I don't want to tie you up anymore much longer, but where do you see
Yeah.
Prime Sanitation in the next 5 years? And what are some of the goals that you're willing to take or you want to take in order to try to get there?
Well, in the next 5 years, I say we have 35 hook lift trucks,
Well, there you
2,000
go.
cans. No, I'm totally kidding. Right? You know what I mean? No. Our community would not be able to handle that. But no, I really feel like, let's see here. I would like to have, this is a realistic goal, I believe, for us. I'd like to have 2 trucks, 2 full-time drivers, roughly 100 cans and being operational every single day as far as our dumpster rentals and stuff are concerned. Maybe kind of break into, there's another little market just north of us. So maybe kind of expanding a little bit because that's where a lot of growth is coming from. It's near
Mm,
the college. So that might be something that we might look into rather than just staying in Fort Smith because it's a very small town. And so growing there it's very tough. But so I like to see that as far as our trucks and hook lifts are concerned. And then for pressure washing, I just kind of want to be the community's go-to company for external cleaning and sanitizing for people's houses, man. Just kind of keep the area clean. I know that kind of sounds weird, but basically, everybody needs their property cleaned up. In the area that we live in, we have a lot of, mold and algae because it is so wet there that people don't really realize what they're breathing in on a daily basis. And not getting that stuff cleaned up can really, affect you in the long run. I mean, everybody, myself included, I look at tomorrow as like my next problem, not necessarily 10 years from now. I've fallen into that trap. However, if I could get out there, or if we could get out there and market our services properly, man, people would really understand the need for these services. Like, get rid of that stuff. Get rid of everybody has their filters in their house. Well, when was the last time people changed their air filters? I mean, that's not something we want to do, but you know, the mentality on things, people just don't know what they don't know. And so if we could get out there, I want to market that so much better. I want to be able to be the community's exterior home professionals. So that's kind of where I see the company going in the next few years for sure.
Nice.
We
Oh,
definitely don't want to go anywhere. You know what I'm saying?
for
Like
sure.
we're in it for the long haul. Um, we're paying our dues slowly but surely, learning a lot along the way, and learning from people like you, other people in the community, on YouTube, you know, all over the place. And that's where I think we're going to grow and be able to grow our business in our market. So,
Absolutely. I mean, we're in a day and age where education, there's so much free stuff out there, that you can learn specific trades. I mean, you can become pretty much anything you want to be if you spend enough time on YouTube, right?
mm.
Within reason, of course. But uh, anything that you think that we didn't cover that you might want to touch on?
Man, I did have a couple questions for you, but honestly, I actually do have to get to a job.
Oh,
Um,
okay,
but
very good.
man, you know, I really feel like maybe I'll throw something in the comments or something if you know if we do get this out there and you know people are seeing different things. I want to ask me questions. That's perfectly fine with me. And then maybe we can just kind of keep this conversation going. You know, I'm just talking about different things. You know, I had a question like, when did you have your aha moment? You know, that one time we're like, oh, now I got it. This is what I need to do. You know, so you know, it's just little things like that. I feel like, you know, watching some of your videos, you do put that information out. So, I mean, I've heard some of the things that you've already discussed before. But as far as anything else, man, I really just am excited to be here. You know, this is my first time ever doing anything like this. I've never, you know, I talked earlier before about putting things on Facebook, putting things on social media. I've never done that. I've been, you know, in government service forever. I've just been whatever. Nobody needs to know what I'm doing on
Mm,
social media. I just, you know, keep in touch with family and friends, no big deal. And now, like I said, I have to be a content creator. So all this stuff is super new to me, and it's just guys like you that give, you know, small businesses or growing businesses like us an opportunity to just get out there and show people what we can do, and then start a conversation with other people. You know, I've gone on Instagram and talked to Mike over at Valley Dumpsters in California. You know, like I just asked him a question and he absolutely responded and gave me some phenomenal information, you know.
mm.
And it's just being able to do that is very beneficial to all of us. So I hope that we can kind of keep this conversation going into the future. That's where I'd like to leave that.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Um, there's obviously lots of Facebook pages as well. I love how people help each other out on those pages. Sometimes we got to
Mm-hmm.
get rid of some of the ones that are real quick
I was
with
gonna
a
say
big
some
head.
people, man,
Sometimes,
crush you.
yeah, there's one in every group at least, right? Or there's one in
Yeah.
every 100, but whatever. Um, but yeah, man, I love it. I think just from my point of view, in if you went on YouTube and did videos of your trash can cleaning stuff, I don't know. Again, I haven't probably looked into it too much, but I don't know very many guys that are out there doing that kind of stuff. So I think a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people would have a lot to learn off of you guys as well, man. So I'd love to
Yeah.
see it, to watch it. So, anyways,
Mm-hmm.
Matt, I truly appreciate you being here, man. You've got my you're on my messenger. I will send you my phone number. Anytime you have a question for me personally, feel free to give me a call, text message, whatever. And we will get this out there. We'll let everybody kind of see you guys. Real quick, before you go, let anybody know, whoever might be watching, who might want to get a hold of you, how they can get a hold of you guys as far as Prime Sanitation is concerned.
Yeah, I mean, basically, just go on Facebook and Instagram. That's kind of where we primarily operated out of. Prime Sanitation Fort Smith on Facebook, and then I believe it's Prime Sanitation Fort Smith on Instagram as well. You know, if I can put the link or something on there, I'll do that and just try and go from there, man. Just happy to be here, man. Thank you so much for the opportunity and just being able to put some information out to the rest of the world. You know, it's been fantastic, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you as well, man. I really appreciate you being here. So with that, guys, we're gonna go ahead and call it. Make sure you like, subscribe, and smash that notification bell. We'll see you on the next one.